want to talk about inner dance session number 9. Yesterday I went to do a coaching session and an inner dance session, like one after the other. It's truly interesting because in the coaching that I do, we work with the body and we work with the subconscious memories, right? So it's not heady, it's all feeling based and body based. We do like constellation work to work out the dynamics between the inner child and then the parents. And it was very interesting to see that, to see how I was there, how the person was there, and then to see that the shifts that were occurring for the person. It was so interesting because this person, she had this idea that there was this grief because she had lost her father at a very young age. And then all of a sudden, while she was doing the work, she realized there was grief actually, or there was an issue that was coming from the mother, and it became so apparent. And so all of a sudden now she has like this shift of like, oh, it's not about my father, it's about my mother. And it was so cute to see that shift happening. And then the inner dance after that. This inner dance was so like eye-opening for me, because what did it show me? The moment I started the music on, like I thought about, should I do an intro, should I tell something? But then I just thought like, best thing is just silence, lay down, start the music and just be there and breathe. And I sat there and she laid down on the mat. I was just breathing and just closed my eyes and I just kept breathing. And all of a sudden, like, this frequency starts to change. There's just adjustment happening. And I'm like in this state where the energy is like, it feels like the energy is inhabiting my body. It's like there's a flow of impulses and there's just a present moment-to-moment awareness, and there's a continuous expression of impulses. So it's like a stand up, go to the body, and it's like my hands feel the energy in the body. And it was so interesting. Like at certain points there were like blocks at the knees, so they were like putting the hands on the knees or on the belly or in the throat, and then the person started to make sounds, or there's some kind of shift happening. It was so interesting and so varied, so much variation, so much like somebody asked me, is this tiring? Is this exhausting? When you're in that stream of energy, it's just like literally you're a vessel, an empty vessel, and the energy is like just like pouring through you, and you're just full of energy, and you're just like making these dynamic movements like sometimes you're flowing, there's a flow happening. Sometimes there's moments of stillness, of pauses. But what really surprised me was after doing some work on her knees, on her throat, on her belly, and at some point I was like putting the hand on the heart, and there was energy going to the heart, and she was laughing a lot, she was making a lot of movements, and grounding also, like the feet warming up. It was so interesting to notice. I remember back then, like years ago, I would always have like these cold hands and feet. But now when working with energy, the hands are always so warm. And I feel the other person's body, whether it's cold or warmer than my body temperature. And it's very interesting to notice that difference. It's, And so she's lying there and it's like 30-40 minutes in. And I get this feeling like it's done. So I'm sitting in myself, just sitting near her body, not doing anything. And I'm just in this quietness, this complete stillness, this nothingness. And then movements start to happen, like I have my own inner dance a little bit. I see visions. It's still visions about the woman who is my twin flame or my soulmate or whoever she is, like I don't know, past lives. I started to see same things. She just keeps coming up every time now. So my reaction to it is now, oh, this again. Okay, let's see what we'll get to see today. So then, it's very interesting. So normally in inner dance or in CAP, you just lie down for the whole session, right? With your eyes closed, and you have your own process, internal process. But now, this person, all of a sudden, she got up, and she sat opposite of me, and she just started to look at me, and I was like, whoa, like I only had this with the facilitator, like with one facilitator who I've had this connection with. Like I also did that, and now she's doing that. So she sat up and she started to sit opposite of me, and we started to look into each other's eyes. It was different. It was different than with the facilitator, in the sense that both there was a pure just gazing being, and the only difference is like with the facilitator, because there are feelings and there's a deep devotional love to the person. There is like this, it's like there's this content, this aroma of love and warmth and like towards the facilitator. But when I was sitting with her, it was just like this fullness and this neutrality, and like just this full acceptance. Like, I see you, I'm here with you, and we're just staring each other in the eyes. And she starts to tear up, and my mind is like, oh no, she's gonna cry. Am I gonna cry also? And then I realized, okay, I'm in my mind. Go back to the heart. Just stay in the heart. And it's so tricky because it's like a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because I'm still learning. So for me, it's like some things, like these things, like when I go to my head, it's like a cue for me. Like, get back into your body. Get back into your heart. Stay here. Stay in the heart. So we keep interlocked. She starts to have some movements. She starts to tear up. She laughs at me, and afterwards she told me, like, at certain points your eye color started to change. It became green, and I don't remember what she said, but she said like different eye colors. Like it almost felt like you were someone different sitting there. And if I remember correctly, right? But so we're sitting there, just staring at each other. And she's having like these takes, and I realize I also like I feel some movement, and all of a sudden she hugs me. She starts to hug me, and we hug, and I feel like vibrationally, like all the cells in the body, like they start to vibrate at a very high frequency, and there's this feel of like such a elated feeling of just feeling amazing. And we start to, while hugging, it's like our bodies, they push and go. There's an in-breath and an out-breath, in-breath and out-breath, and together they're breathing in and breathing out. And it's like you feel, like I felt in that moment, like the bodies were interconnected and the two bodies were one body, like communicating with each other, sharing each other, dancing with each other, breathing together, deepening together. It was very beautiful. It was a very profound experience. It was still different than with the facilitator, but it was very pure, very profound. And I learned about this in inner dance. This is called reflexivity. It's like I can meet myself when there's the other. The other can meet himself when there's I. So in relation to each other, when we just gaze, in the middle, we can find a space where we're one together. And we recognize each other, and we can sink deeper into trust, and we can sink deeper into ourselves. This is like layers. Like if I remember it correctly, because maybe I'm explaining it a little bit simplistically, I will make a separate video about this. But this is a very pure experience. It's like you cannot do this if you're not willing to surrender or be vulnerable. Because when you're sitting there, like when we released each other again, and just sitting there staring at each other, you realize everything in you that feels ashamed, that feels judged, that feels not good enough, it all is registering. Like you want to protect, you don't want to show it, you want to hide it. And yeah, the thing is to just stay in your heart and breathe through all of it. and to find that layer of intimacy, that layer of being yourself completely, accepting yourself completely, and accepting the other person completely. At certain points, while I was looking at her, my mind started to make like these comments. Oh, her ears are like this. Oh, she's like that. Oh, da da da. Like all these kind of judgments, almost like, or conclusions. And it's all just a mirror of how my mind works. Just stay in the heart, don't get attached to stories. And then at some point, we put our hands on our heart, we just kept breathing. And then I just sat there because she was shaking. I was holding her legs, and she just kept putting her hand on my heart. And she kept tearing up, but not crying. Tearing up, but not crying. And sometimes I would have these thoughts like, it's safe to cry. You can be here. I'm here with you. And sometimes while looking into her eye, there would be a point where it's like you become so fixated on the eye, and it's like this feeling like your consciousness is going into the eye, beyond the eye, and into the body. And I could feel in her heart. I could feel how it was inside. And I felt this very inner energetic connection. Yeah, during the inner dance itself also, there was this, like I kept seeing some images sometimes, like wherever there was energy work being done, like there was a certain point, a cord, an energy cord, like when put into the body of her, and then the cord was like being used to work out certain blockages, or to work, it was being used to, I don't know what it was being used to, but it felt like there was a lot of energy going through. Like when I put her my hand on her sacral chakra, and I was holding it there. Afterwards, she told me, whenever you would do that, I would feel the warmth coming in, and I would just see bright yellow, like the yellow of the solar plexus. So it was a really surprising session for me. A really surprising session, because for 30 minutes we just sat up there. Like I did the exact same song with my friend in the session, and he dozed off and he fell asleep. He was like snoring. Well, not fully asleep, but he was snoring at the end. He was totally relaxed. So his body was totally gone. But here she was so active, and I was like, whoa, so it's not only with like a special thing that I have with this facilitator. Like I have this experience with this person now also. So it was very revealing to me, very humbling. At the end, we just like we held each other like head to head, third eye to third eye, and there was just this quietness, this peace, and this gratitude for like, well, thank you so much for meeting, for going this deep, for immersing ourselves into this depth. Afterwards, she told me like she felt so elated in all her cells, in her whole body. She felt so so full of energy, so like everything was vibrating. And she said, it's so calm, right? It like, she was like, this was a really deep or intense session, but it felt so, there was not like fireworks, or it wasn't super intense. It was just like very calm, that like almost this water quality, like, and waves that were coming, and deep waves and slow waves and soft waves and all kinds of waves. So these are my words, by the way. It was truly like, yeah, amazing. I still am like a bit surprised that this works and it's that simple. Yeah, like going home and sleeping, I just feel like I'm in that vibrational energy, and I feel like the more that I do it, the more that it's just there. It's just showing up. Like when I wake up, when I do meditation, when I'm in my life, I just feel this resonance with the energy. Yeah, it's very profound feeling. Yeah, I was a little bit hesitant, and I was also a very bit unsure. Like, does it work? Does it really, like, is the energy really doing it, or am I imagining it? But like now, after like these couple of sessions, I realized like, so whether the person moves or not moves, it's all about their own sensitivity, their own process. Because there's this tendency in the mind, like, I want to see what's happening. I want to, otherwise there's almost like a tendency to not believe that something is happening. Yeah, yeah, it's like, it's all about humility, sincerity, and honestly, I can recommend inner dance to anyone and everybody. Like, you can do a facilitator training on innertrust.com, or at life1a.com, which is the site of the creator. And yeah, it's so funny that it's not popular. Like, when I walk around in, like, I know in the city there are yoga studios, there are all kinds of things happening, but like CAP, inner dance, all these things, they're not mainstream popular. But I think they will be, because it's so powerful and it's so deep and it's so simple and profound. Yeah. All right. Thank you all, and have a good day.